The Crimson Spire station floated at the edge of known space like a red needle piercing the darkness. Inside its largest hall, creatures from 100 worlds gathered around tables made of metals that didn't exist on Earth. The air smelled strange, mixing the scents of different atmospheres that the station's systems tried to balance. Lights flickered in colors that human eyes couldn't quite name. Sat in the corner booth with his companion, both wearing simple gray jackets that marked them as visitors. They watched the crowd with careful eyes. His face showed nothing, calm and blank as stone. Held a small data pad, recording notes about the various species around them. At the center table, a massive creature stood on 4 legs. Its scales were deep red, almost black, and reflected the station lights. This was a hunter whose reputation spread across 3 sectors. His clan had hunted dangerous prey for 2,000 years. He raised a clawed hand and the room grew quiet. "I present my latest trophy," announced. His voice rumbled like rocks grinding together. "The Void Serpent of Prime, 50 meters long, teeth that can pierce starship hull. I tracked it through an asteroid field for 6 cycles before I made my kill." The crowd made sounds of approval. Different species had different ways of showing respect, but all of them understood what it meant to hunt something that dangerous. A floating display showed images of the serpent, its body coiled around broken asteroids, its many eyes glowing in the dark. Next to speak was a creature whose body looked like it was made of black glass. Its multiple arms clicked together as it spoke through a translator device. "Impressive, but I have hunted across 40 worlds. My count stands at 237 apex predators. Each one was the deadliest creature on its home planet." His voice came out sharp and precise. "The crystal behemoths of Tarn, the psychic hunters of the magnetic eels of the deep stations, all of them fell to my blade." More sounds of approval rippled through the hall. A gaseous being named, who existed as a cloud of particles held together by a containment field, drifted forward. "We of the pride ourselves on tracking ability," the gas cloud's voice whispered from speakers. "I once followed a shadow predator across 7 systems. It could hide in any darkness. It killed 20 hunters before me, but patience wins all hunts. I waited in one place for 3 months until it came to me." The hunters shared their stories for hours. Each tale was more dangerous than the last. They showed scars, displayed weapons, and described hunts that had taken years to complete. The hall filled with the pride of apex predators who sat at the top of their food chains. Then noticed the 2 humans in the corner. His eyes, yellow with vertical slits, focused on them. "What do we have here?" he said loudly. "Humans, I've heard of your kind, soft skin, no claws, no venom, no armor, you come from a gentle world, yes." Several hunters turned to look at and some made sounds that might have been laughter, clicked its mandibles together. "Humans are prey species," another hunter called out. "I've seen the reports. They die from simple infections. Their world has mild weather. They need tools for everything because their bodies are so weak." "No natural weapons at all," added. He moved closer to their table, each step shaking the floor. "Why are you here, little prey creatures? This is a gathering for hunters, for predators, for those who kill." His hand tightened on her data pad. She started to stand, ready to leave. The mockery in the room grew louder. More hunters joined in, sharing what they knew about humans. Fragile bones, poor senses, slow reflexes. Some even joked about how easy humans would be to hunt. His hand moved calmly to touch his arm. He applied gentle pressure, signaling her to sit. His face remained expressionless, but his eyes were watching everything, counting exits, nodding positions, old habits from old wars. "Let them finish," he said quietly too. The hunters continued their mockery for several more minutes. They compared humans to various prey animals from their own worlds, small creatures that ran and hid, weak things that survived only through luck or by hiding in groups. Finally, raised its multiple arms for silence. This body reflected the room's lights as it stood tall. "I have stated my record clearly," declared. 237 apex predators across 40 worlds. I have hunted in acid rain and frozen void. I have faced creatures with powers beyond natural law. I stand here as proof that I am among the greatest hunters alive." Its voice carried complete confidence. Can anyone in this hall match this achievement? The room erupted in sounds of admiration. Hunters struck their weapons against tables. Others made their species signs of respect. Himself bowed his massive head toward. For a moment, it seemed that would be declared the supreme hunter of the gathering. Then a voice came from the corner, quiet, calm, almost gentle. "Is that all?" The entire hall fell silent. Every being turned to look at the human who had spoken. Remained seated, his posture relaxed, but his eyes held something that made the nearest hunters take a step back. Something ancient and patient and very, very dangerous. Scales rippled with anger. "What did you say, human?" The silence in the hall felt heavy, like water pressing down from above. Every hunter stared at the human who had spoken, stood slowly, his movements careful and controlled. He was not tall compared to most beings in the room. His body looked thin next to his massive frame, but something in the way he stood made the space around him feel dangerous. "I asked if that was all," repeated. His voice stayed quiet and calm. 237 kills across 40 worlds. That's your record." Moved forward fast, his claws scraping the metal floor. The sound echoed through the silent hall. He stopped just in front of his table, close enough that his hot breath washed over the human. "You insult this gathering," the growled. "You insult me. You insult and all hunters here. Prove your words, human, or I will execute you where you stand. The Apex Conclave does not tolerate lies or disrespect." Stood up, her hand moving toward a concealed weapon, but shook his head slightly. She froze, trusting him. "I can prove my words," said, "but I should warn you first. Human hunting is different from what you know, very different." "Then speak," commanded from across the room. "Tell us your hunting record. We will judge if you deserve to breathe after insulting us." Reached into his jacket slowly. Several hunters tensed, ready to strike. He pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a blue and green planet. "This is Earth," began. "My home world. Before I tell you about my hunts, you need to understand where I come from." Drifted closer, the gas cloud pulsing with curiosity. "We know of Earth, a gentle world, comfortable temperatures, liquid water, easy prey animals, nothing dangerous." "That's what your reports say," spoke for the first time. She activated her data pad and more holograms appeared. "But your reports are wrong. Earth is classified as a Class 9 death world by every objective measure." The hunters made sounds of disbelief, snorted. "Impossible, we've seen humans. You have no armor, no natural weapons, you're fragile." "Yes," agreed. "We are fragile. That's why Earth tried so hard to kill us. The planet tested us every single day." The holograms changed, showing creatures from Earth. A great white shark with rows of teeth. A crocodile crushing bones in its jaw. A polar bear standing 3 meters tall. A hippo charging with impossible speed. His voice provided information as images flashed past. "Earth has megafauna predators on every continent, in the oceans, in the air, creatures that can kill a human in seconds." She displayed more images. "But it's not just the predators. Earth has diseases, bacteria, viruses, parasites, thousands of ways for invisible things to kill you. The weather tries to kill you," continued. "Hurricanes that level cities, tornadoes that throw vehicles like toys, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, and that's just the planet being normal." Clicked its mandibles together, studying the data. "These creatures are dangerous, yes, but you said you hunted them with primitive weapons." "We did," confirmed. "Before we had advanced technology, my ancestors hunted with sharpened rocks and wooden spears. They hunted animals 50 times their size, animals with thick hides, animals that could run faster or bite harder. They hunted them anyway. How asked. The question came out like wind through a tunnel, confused and uncertain. We ran them to death, said simply. Humans can't run fast, but we can run forever. We chase prey for hours, days sometimes. We don't stop. We never stop. Eventually, the prey's heart gives out, or it overheats, or it simply gives up because it knows we won't ever stop chasing. The hall filled with uncomfortable sounds. Several hunters shifted away from the humans. That's not hunting, one creature said. That's torture. That's survival, corrected. And humans did this for hundreds of thousands of years. They hunted mammoths to extinction, giant sloths, saber-toothed cats, enormous bears. Species after species fell to human hunters. His eyes grew darker as he spoke. But we didn't just hunt animals. We hunted each other for territory, for resources, for revenge, for sport. Human tribes went to war with other human tribes. Then villages fought villages. Then nations fought nations. We spent thousands of years perfecting the art of killing our own species. The hologram changed again. Battlefields covered with bodies, cities burning, weapons of terrible power, provided numbers that made several hunters turn away. 70 million dead in one war. Atomic weapons that turned cities into shadows. Chemical weapons. Biological weapons. Humans created weapons specifically designed to kill other humans as efficiently as possible. Scales had lost some of their color. You warred against your own kind. Constantly, answered. For most of our history, humans were the most dangerous thing on Earth. Not the sharks, not the bears, not the diseases, us. We were the apex predator of apex predators. His gaseous form swirled with agitation. Then what is your kill count, human? How many have you hunted? His face showed nothing. His voice came out flat and cold. I stopped counting after the frontier wars. When my unit was deployed to the outer colonies, we faced hostile forces for 3 years. Urban combat, shipboarding actions, planetary defense. I killed enemy soldiers. I killed pirates. I killed things that weren't quite human anymore. How many? Demanded. More than 237, said quietly. I stopped counting because the numbers stopped mattering. Because every night I closed my eyes and saw their faces. Because hunting your own species does something to you that hunting animals never can. The hall remained silent, looked around at all the gathered hunters. You hunt for glory, for trophies, for pride. That's fine, that's your culture. He paused. Humans hunted because if we didn't, we died. And when we got good at it, we couldn't stop. We kept hunting until we almost destroyed ourselves. Shut off the holograms. The blue light faded, leaving the hall dimmer than before. So yes, finished. 237 kills across 40 worlds. Is that all? The atmosphere in the hall had changed. The proud boasting from before was gone, replaced by an uneasy tension. Stood very still, his yellow eyes fixed on. The hunter's tail twitched, a sign of deep thought among his species. Before anyone could speak, the hall's main entrance doors opened. A man walked in wearing a worn flight jacket. His hair was gray at the temples, and old scars marked his hands. He looked around the room with an expression of mild amusement. "Am I interrupting?" the newcomer asked. Said, the smallest hint of warmth entering his voice. "You made it." Wouldn't miss this for anything. Walked over to join them at the corner table. He nodded politely to the gathered hunters. "I heard you were discussing hunting records. Mind if I add some context?" Multiple arms crossed in a gesture that might have been defensive. "More humans. Are you all warriors like your friend?" "Former military, yes," answered. He sat down casually as if dozens of apex predators weren't watching him with suspicion. "But I'm here as a historian. You have the catalog ready." Activated her data pad again. This time, a massive holographic list appeared in the air above their table. Species names scrolled past, hundreds of them, thousands. The list kept going and going. "What is this?" asked the gas cloud, moving closer to examine the data. "This is humanity's hunting catalog," explained. Her voice carried the tone of a scientist presenting facts, not boasting. "Every species that humans have hunted throughout our history. Some we ate, some threatened us, some we hunted just to see if we could." The list continued scrolling. Mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, insects, even some plants that could kill humans. "We hunted everything on our planet," said. "Big things, small things, things in between. Whales that were 30 meters long. We hunted them from wooden boats. Tiny birds that weighed less than a stone. We hunted them for their feathers. We hunted bears and wolves and big cats. We hunted the things that hunted us." A hologram appeared showing humans in primitive boats pursuing a massive whale. The creature dwarfed the boat. The humans threw spears attached to ropes, then held on as the whale pulled them across the ocean for hours. "That's insane," one of the hunters whispered. "That's persistence," corrected. "The whale was stronger, faster, bigger, but it got tired. Humans don't get tired the same way. We evolved to keep going long after our prey gave up." Brought up more images. Humans developed hundreds of different hunting methods: traps, ambushes, poison, trained animals to help us hunt. We domesticated wolves and turned them into hunting partners. We used birds to catch other birds. We even trained insects to find things for us. "And when simple hunting wasn't enough," continued, "we invented new tools, better weapons. Bows that could shoot from hundreds of meters away. Guns that could kill from even further. Eventually, weapons that could kill from orbit." The hologram showed the progression of human weapons: stone tools, bronze swords, steel blades, firearms, missiles, energy weapons. Each advancement made killing more efficient. Finally found his voice. "You speak of hunting animals. This is impressive, yes. But we have hunted dangerous prey across many worlds. What makes humans special?" Stood up and walked to the center of the hall. The hunters parted for him, though some did so reluctantly. "I'll tell you what makes humans special," said. "We don't just hunt with strength or speed or natural weapons. We hunt with our minds. We learn. We adapt. We plan." He pointed at, "You said you hunted psychic predators on. That must have been difficult. They could read your thoughts, yes?" "Correct," answered warily. "It took months to learn how to shield my mind." "A human would have done it differently," explained. "We would have studied the creature first, learned what it eats, where it sleeps, what it fears. Then we would have created a trap using that knowledge. We might never face it directly. Why risk ourselves when we can make the environment do the killing?" Showed another hologram. This one displayed ancient human pit traps covered with leaves. Animals fell in and couldn't escape. "Humans learned early that the best hunt is the one where you never get hurt," she said. "We dug holes and covered them. We built walls to funnel prey where we wanted. We started fires to drive animals into ambushes. We changed the environment itself to serve our needs." Leaned back in his chair. "And then we got really good at it. So good that we drove species to extinction without meaning to. Dozens of them, just by being too efficient at hunting." "But here's the important part," continued. "We hunted the biggest, most dangerous things on our planet until they were almost gone. The great cats, the bears, the wolves. We pushed them to the edge of extinction. And then we realized what we'd done." The room grew quiet again. This silence was different from before. It was listening silence. "We stopped," said simply. "Humans decided that some things shouldn't be hunted anymore. We created reserves, protection laws. We spent fortunes bringing species back from near extinction. The same creatures we'd hunted for thousands of years, we now guard with our lives." "Why?" Question came out confused. "Why stop being predators?" Turned to face the gas cloud. "Because we learned that being the best hunter means knowing when to stop hunting. A true apex predator doesn't destroy its ecosystem. It maintains it. and humans realized that we'd become so good at killing that we needed to learn how to protect instead. Stood and joined in the center. After we stopped hunting animals for sport, we turned that same intensity on other problems. We hunted diseases until we eliminated them. We hunted criminals. We hunted injustice. We hunted the reasons for war itself. We domesticated our own predatory nature, added. We took the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy, ourselves, and taught ourselves restraint, control, purpose. Scales had gone pale. You're saying humans chose to be weak. No, corrected firmly. We chose to be civilized. There's a difference. A domesticated dog is still a wolf inside. It just knows when to bare its teeth and when to wag its tail. He looked around at all the assembled hunters. We're not weak. We're controlled. We're patient. We're waiting. And if you think that makes us less dangerous, then you've misunderstood everything about humans. The catalog continued scrolling in the background, listing species after species. The message was clear. Humans had hunted everything, and then they'd chosen to stop. Stared at for a long moment. This claws flexed, scraping against the floor. Around the hall, other hunters whispered among themselves in dozens of languages. The translator system struggled to keep up with all the conversations happening at once. Words, finally said. You speak many words, human. You show us pictures and numbers, but words prove nothing. I could claim to be the greatest hunter in the galaxy too. Without proof, it means nothing. What proof would satisfy you? Asked calmly. The eyes gleamed. A demonstration. The Crimson Spire keeps a creature in the lower containment levels. A void stalker from the dark regions beyond the rim. It has killed 12 challengers. Hunt it, human, kill it. Then I will believe your words. Grabs arm. Don't. Void stalkers are Category 5 predators. They're nearly impossible to track and they kill within seconds of striking. I know what they are, said quietly. He looked at. I accept your challenge. The hall erupted in excited sounds. Hunters moved quickly, eager to witness what they expected would be a human's death. They filed toward the elevators that would take them to the observation decks above the containment arena, moved close to and spoke in a low voice. You sure about this? No choice now, replied. Besides, it's been a while since I hunted something that wasn't human. They descended into the lower levels of the station. The air grew colder here, and the lighting dimmed to a dull red. The containment arena was a large circular chamber with walls made of reinforced alloy. Observation windows ringed the top, already filling with alien hunters eager to watch. A station official approached. She was humanoid with blue skin and silver eyes. Her uniform marked her as security. She looked at with concern. I'm Chief of Station Security, she said. You don't have to do this. The Void Stalker has a perfect kill record. No one has survived more than 3 minutes inside that arena. What weapons can I take? Asked, ignoring her warning. Side, standard arena rules. 1 blade, maximum 30 centimeters. 1 light source. 1 piece of protective gear. Nothing electronic or powered. A knife, a flashlight, and what for protection? Asked. Most choose armor, chest plate usually. Shook his head. I'll take a rope, 3 meters long, standard climbing rope. Stared at him. That's not protection. It is if you know how to use it, said. 10 minutes later, stood at the entrance to the arena. He wore his normal clothes with a simple knife strapped to his belt. A small flashlight hung from his other side. The rope was coiled over his shoulder. He looked like someone going for a walk, not someone about to face a deadly predator. The arena door opened. Stepped inside. The door sealed behind him with a heavy sound that echoed in the darkness. His flashlight clicked on, creating a small circle of light in the massive space. Above, in the observation area, the hunters pressed against the windows. Holographic displays showed from multiple angles. Sensor readouts tracked the Void Stalker somewhere in the darkness. This will be over quickly, predicted. Void stalkers attack within 30 seconds of detecting prey. But 30 seconds passed, then a minute, then 2 minutes, stood completely still in the center of the arena, his light pointing down at the floor. He wasn't moving, wasn't searching, just standing. "What is he doing?" one hunter asked. "Waiting," answered from where he stood at the observation window. "He's making the creature come to him." "That's suicide," growled. "No," said quietly, "that's hunting." In the arena's eyes moved constantly even though his body remained still. He was reading the space, listening, feeling the air currents. Void stalkers were ambush predators. They struck from darkness. They expected prey to run, to panic, to make mistakes. Did none of those things. 5 minutes passed. The creature still hadn't attacked, took one slow step forward, then another. He moved like water, smooth and quiet. His light swept across the floor and he studied everything it touched. "He's tracking it," said suddenly. She pointed at the display. "Look at the dust patterns on the floor. The creature moved through there recently." Was following traces invisible to most beings. A slight disturbance in the dust. A scratch on the wall too fresh to be old. The faint smell of the creature's scent glands. He wasn't hunting with strength or speed. He was hunting with patience and observation. 10 minutes passed. Had worked his way to the arena's edge. He found a maintenance vent, partially damaged. The creature's hiding place. But he didn't approach it directly. Instead, he moved to a position near a wall support beam and waited again. "Why doesn't he attack?" a hunter demanded. "Because he's setting a trap," explained. "Watch." Had noticed something about the arena. The floor had drainage channels for cleaning. He'd moved pieces of debris to partially block one channel, creating a raised edge. He'd positioned himself so the vent was to his left, the support beam behind him, and the channel in front. When the Void Stalker finally struck, it came fast. The creature was a blur of black limbs and silver claws, moving from the vent straight towards back. Every hunter watching expected to see the human torn apart. Instead, dropped into a roll forward over the drainage channel. The creature's momentum carried it across the same channel, but the raised edge had caught one of its legs, just for a fraction of a second, just enough. Came up from his roll with the rope already moving. He'd practiced this movement 10,000 times in training. The rope looped around the creature's caught leg, then around the support beam, then back. He pulled hard, using the beam as a pulley point. The Void Stalker crashed into the beam with tremendous force. Didn't try to hold it there. That would be impossible. Instead, he let the rope go slack for a moment, and the creature's own thrashing tangled it further. Then ran, not away but in a wide circle around the arena's edge. The creature freed itself and chased. This was what it knew: chase, catch, kill. But wasn't running in panic. He was running with purpose, staying just ahead of the creature, leading it. And every time he passed a structural element, he changed direction slightly. The creature followed, single-minded in its pursuit. He's exhausting it, breathed. He's making it chase him until it gets tired. An hour passed. The creature's movements got slower, its attacks less precise, had barely broken a sweat. Humans evolved for persistence, for running when others got tired. When the Void Stalker finally stopped, heaving for breath, approached carefully. The creature tried to attack again, but it was too slow. Moved behind it, rope ready. This time he used the rope to control its head, keeping away from the claws. His knife found the gap in its natural armor at the base of the skull. One quick thrust. Clean. Efficient. The Void Stalker died without a sound. Stood up, breathing hard but unhurt. He looked up at the observation windows where dozens of alien faces stared in silence. His voice came over the comm system, shaking slightly. "Winner. Time 2 hours 17 minutes. No injuries sustained." In the observation area, Scales had gone completely pale. Around him, other hunters backed away from the windows, disturbed by what they'd witnessed. A woman's voice spoke from the back of the crowd. I told you humans were already here. You just never noticed us watching. The hunters turned. A human woman in nondescript clothing stood there. She'd been in the observation area the entire time, and no one had noticed. More humans revealed themselves throughout the station, stepping forward from crowds where they'd been invisible. My name is, the woman said, Human Special Operations. I've been on this station for 4 months, living among you, observing, learning, and none of you ever suspected. Looked around at all the human faces, and for the first time in his life, the great hunter felt like prey. The observation area descended into chaos. Hunters who had been proud and confident minutes before now looked around with suspicion and fear. How many other humans were hidden among them? How long had they been watched? The great predators of the galaxy suddenly understood what it felt like to be studied like specimens. His voice boomed above the confusion. Explain this. Now, why are humans infiltrating our stations, our space? Before anyone could answer, the station's main communication system activated. A new voice filled every speaker, calm and diplomatic. Perhaps I can help clarify the situation. Screens throughout the observation area flickered to life, showing a middle-aged human man in formal attire. His expression was pleasant, but his eyes were sharp. My name is Wu. I'm an ambassador for the human collective. I apologize for the dramatic entrance, but circumstances required it. I'm currently approaching the Crimson Spire and should dock within the hour. Ambassador. His mandibles clicked rapidly. Humans have no recognized government in this sector. That was intentional, Wu replied. We preferred to observe before making formal contact. We've been in this region of space for approximately 18 months, watching, learning, trying to understand your cultures before revealing ourselves. Stepped forward, her data pad active. My mission was to study your species, not for conquest or harm, but for knowledge. Humans learned long ago that understanding others prevents conflict. Understanding. Gaseous form swirled with agitation, or gathering intelligence for invasion. Neither, said another new voice. The humans in the observation area moved aside, and a woman in a military uniform walked through. Her presence commanded immediate attention. Even the largest hunters instinctively stepped back. I am Captain Sara of the Human Defense Fleet, she announced, and I'm about to make this station very uncomfortable for a moment. Please don't be alarmed. She tapped a device on her wrist. Outside the station, something shifted in space itself. A massive warship uncloaked, appearing as if from nowhere. It dwarfed the Crimson Spire, bristling with weapons and armor that looked nothing like standard galactic military technology. The hunters rushed to the windows. More ships appeared. A full fleet, each one larger and more advanced than anything in the sector. We've been here the whole time, Sara said simply. Watching your space, guarding the borders. You never saw us because we didn't want to be seen. This is an act of war, snarled, though his voice carried less confidence than before. No, Wu's voice came through the speakers. This is an act of desperation. We came to this sector because we received signals, distress calls from civilizations that no longer exist, dead worlds, consumed planets. We followed the trail of destruction and it led here. Brought up new holograms. These showed planets stripped bare, their surfaces cracked and lifeless. Something is coming, an enemy unlike anything you faced. We call them the Devourers. They're a nomadic species that consumes entire biospheres, every living thing, every resource. They leave nothing behind. We've heard the legends, said quietly. The Dark Swarm, we thought they were myths to frighten children. They're real, confirmed, joining the group, and they're heading this way. The Crimson Spire is directly in their path. They'll arrive within 6 months. The observation area fell silent. Every hunter understood what this meant. Their gathering place, their sacred ground, would be destroyed. Emerged from the lower levels, still carrying his rope and knife. He looked tired, but his voice was steady. This is why humans came, not to conquer you, not to prove we're better hunters. We came because when we detected the Devourer's approach, we couldn't just watch entire civilizations die. Why would you help us? Demanded. We mocked you, called you weak, prey animals. Because we remember what it was like, answered. Centuries ago, humans fought each other constantly. We nearly destroyed ourselves, but we learned. We evolved. Not physically, we're still fragile creatures with no claws or armor. We evolved our thinking. We realized that the strongest species isn't the one that kills the most. It's the one that protects the most. Captain Sora's image appeared on the screens alongside Ambassador Wu. Humanity spent thousands of years as apex predators. We hunted everything, including ourselves. But we learned that being a predator isn't about domination. It's about maintaining balance. When the devourers threaten that balance, they become our prey. Stepped forward, still holding her simple clothing that had made her invisible. We've been preparing your defenses for months, reinforcing stations, mapping approach vectors, studying the enemy. Every human you didn't notice was working to protect you without you even knowing. We didn't ask for protection, said, but the words sounded hollow. No, agreed. You didn't, but that's what humans do now. We turned our hunting skills toward protection, our weapons toward defense, our aggression toward guardianship. Because the deadliest predator in the galaxy isn't the one with the most kills, it's the one that decides what lives and what dies. Wu's diplomatic voice filled the room again. The Apex Conclave has a choice to make. You can accept human assistance, share intelligence, coordinate defenses, work together, or you can reject our help and face the Devourers alone. What's the catch? Asked suspiciously. What do humans gain from this? Allies, said simply. We've learned that the galaxy is too big and too dangerous for any species to survive alone. Humans tried being the solo apex predator. It nearly destroyed us. We're offering a different way. Captain Sora manipulated controls, and new displays appeared showing human military technology. Ships, weapons, defense systems, all of it designed not for hunting but for protection. These are tools we developed after we stopped hunting each other, Sora explained. When you design weapons to fight your own species, you create the most effective killing tools possible. We know human tactics, human psychology, human weaknesses. We built weapons that could defeat ourselves, and now we use those weapons to protect others. The Devourers won't expect organized resistance, added. They're used to overwhelming scattered civilizations, but if we work together, if humans provide military coordination and you provide knowledge of this sector, we have a chance. Walk to stand beside. You asked earlier what makes humans special. This is it. We hunted ourselves nearly to extinction, then learned to turn that same intensity toward protecting others. The most dangerous thing humans ever hunted was our own violent nature, and we won that hunt. Ambassador Wu's image showed him approaching the station in his shuttle. I'll be docking soon to formalize negotiations, but the choice is yours. The Apex Conclave can continue as it always has, apex predators competing to prove who's deadliest. Or you can become something new, something better. Apex Protectors, said softly. Looked at, really seeing him for the first time. Not a weak prey animal, but something far more dangerous and valuable, a predator who had learned restraint. You killed the Void Stalker in 2 hours, the said. You could have killed it in minutes if you'd taken risks, but you didn't. You chose the safe way, the protected way. Because staying alive matters more than proving anything, confirmed. That's what we learned. Glory means nothing if you're dead. Better to win carefully than lose spectacularly. Drifted between the gathered species. The gas cloud's voice came out thoughtful. Perhaps we have been wrong about what it means to be apex. We thought it meant being the deadliest, but humans show us it means being the most adaptable, the most protective. Multiple arms gestured in a pattern that meant agreement among its species. The insect has lived by the hunt for 2,000 years, but I see now that hunting and protecting are not opposites. They are the same skill aimed at different targets. One by one, the hunters of the Apex Conclave began to signal their agreement, some reluctantly, others with growing understanding. They had gathered to boast of kills, but they would leave with something more valuable: purpose. Looked up at the human warships visible through the station windows. We found something better to hunt than prey. We hunt extinction itself. We hunt the forces that would destroy civilizations. We hunt the dangers that threaten life. And we never stop hunting, Sora added from her ship. Because that's what humans do. We don't give up. We don't surrender. When we choose a target, we pursue it until it's dead or we are. The Devourers chose to threaten life in this sector. They just became our prey. Closed her data pad and looked around at the assembled hunters. The galaxy is full of predators, but it only has one species that learned to be predators and protectors at the same time. One species that domesticated its own nature without losing its edge. That's humanity's real hunting record, finished. We didn't just hunt animals and enemies. We hunted our own worst instincts. We hunted war itself. We hunted hatred. We hunted the reasons for conflict. And every day we keep hunting them because those are the prey that never truly die. The Apex Conclave had come together to celebrate killing. They would leave preparing to preserve life. And somewhere in deep space, an ancient enemy moved closer, unaware that Earth's children had learned to be the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. Not because they were the best killers, but because they had learned when to kill and when to protect. The domesticated wolf still had its teeth, and now those teeth were bared in defense of the flock.